All right, after staring at this Tesla motor and figuring out how to mount it, I've decided, I think what I'm gonna probably try to do, use square tubing about 3 inches or 2.5 inches, because that's about the width of this, and I want my brackets to be similar to the width of the square tubing. So I think I'm gonna come off the side of this and then, you know, mount the square tubing to this somehow or another, because if I come off the side of this, I'll be able to shoot pretty well straight down here underneath this bracket, which maybe it'll be over here further, underneath this, and then go all the way up to the front here. And then at this point, once we get to that front part, we'll come down and go over to this bracket right there. So I want to try to leave room for my batteries, so I'm going to need to come down and go over to that without just going straight over there and blocking what could be some good space. And so as I come under here with the square tube, this will give me the ability to put like a U-shaped bracket up on top of that tubing to grab, you know, some good thick stuff, to be able to grab these motor mounts here on this part and the one that's down there on the end down there. So that's going to be the plan on this side. This side's going to be a little bit different because it's not the same. So on this side, this side, I think I'm gonna be, it's gonna be similar in that it's gonna probably mount to the side, run all the way down, and then jog down and go over to that motor mount that's down there, and have a piece of plate that kind of just sits on the top of that underneath there. And so, but as we come, you know, across and over and down, we'll mount to this one with a U-shaped bracket off the side of the square tubing. And so I'll be able to kind of position that, get it welded where it needs to be, and then so putting these in first and getting them somewhat close to where I need them to be will be, I think it'll be good, because then I can position, you know, as I mount these, I can position and move the motor, twist it where it needs to be twisted, to be able to get the motor fine-tuned where I need it, and the brackets welded to the motor mount where they need to be mounted. So the reason I'm kind of coming up close to the side of this and running down is because I want to be sure that I'm not running this piece in the way of the axle ever. And so we should be good kind of mounting up. I feel like mounting to the bottom of this would definitely begin to obstruct the axle and get real close to it. And so I just want to be able to avoid that. And so I'll show you the motor mounting on the front. And so as that bracket comes up, it's gonna jog down here, so I have room for batteries here. It's gonna jog down at some point and come under, and then it will come over to this piece here and weld to a piece that I have that will sit on top of this piece of metal but be underneath this piece of metal. And so I'll disconnect this, get another piece in there that sticks off and lets me run my square tubing up to this and go off of this motor mount. I think that's probably good enough. I also have these I can use, but I'm going to try to avoid using these if I have to, unless I got to. But I think if I use thick enough tubing, we should be good with that long distance run. If we need a mounting point along here, we got this spot. Because this runs off the suspension, I'd rather not. And so the same will be with this side with the square tubing. It'll be very similar. It'll jog down at some point and go over to that motor mount right there and weld to a piece that's gonna sit on top of that mount. But underneath the mount for the bracket, and then of course my U-shaped brackets will hold on to the motor where it needs to be held onto the motor, and in the position it needs to be held onto the motor. On the back side here and on the front side, I think where my square tubing connects to the chassis, I think I'm gonna stick a little bit of rubber between them. That may be a good idea, it may not. If you think that's going to be a bad idea, then you let me know. But that would keep another layer of rubber between my motor mount and the chassis, and the same here, because the vibration that one of these gives off is not anything close to the vibration that a combustion engine gives off, but the vibration these gives off is a much higher frequency, and it can resonate through the chassis and create you know, a very high frequency vibration that you'll hear. It will just be an audible sound, which, who knows, maybe it'd sound cool, but that extra layer of rubber between my motor mount and the chassis on the front and on the back could help with the sound proofing. And so I may do that, I may not, but I do have 2 layers of rubber here, a layer of rubber there, layer of rubber there, and I'll have 2 layers of rubber most likely on that back mount too. So whether or not to add 3, the only reason I say adding 3 is because Tesla does have 3 layers of rubber. They have these here, but then where this whole unit attaches to the drive, you know, axle and everything, there's another layer of rubber. So I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it to do that, but I'd rather be safe than sorry.